Good morning. My name's Drew Holly. I'm CEO of BIS Benefits. I am joined by Phillip Kirsch, who is our newest staff member at BIS.
Hello.
Glad to have you, Phillip. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Glad to be here.
What I thought we'd do today is for outsiders who may be considering or even actively interviewing with BIS or in the future, I thought you would like to hear, not from me as one of the owners and leaders of the company, but from someone relatively new to the organization of, hey, what is the perspective of working at BIS? Maybe from the interview process to what we said we were like to work at, and now that you've been with the company, are we the same? Are we different? We just want to lay it all on the table and try to have some fun. But Phillip, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you found BIS? And then we'll dive from there if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So I'm Phillip Kirsch. I'm 23 years old. Just graduated from Georgia Southern in December.
Okay.
Started working at BIS in January. Now we're in February. It's been about a month and a half.
Month and a half. Got it. And how'd you find us?
I did a Google search on BIS. I just looked up insurance brokerages in Atlanta because I knew that's what I wanted to do, work in an insurance brokerage. And it was one of the first few ones that came up. And then I went through the website, went on the contact, and actually sent in an email that I used AI to help me write. Just an introduction.
Got it.
This is my name. This is when I want to start. And here's my resume. And then I was reached back out to by Ryan about a week, maybe 2 weeks after that. And then we got the ball rolling in the interview process. And that was maybe October. Yes, definitely October 19th.
Okay. Now, a couple things through there. One, for the audience, if you didn't hear it, the word AI was mentioned. You can't have a podcast without saying that at least once in the year 2025. Number two, you said you were interested in the insurance industry. Who would be interested in the insurance industry? I wasn't at age 15, 16, 17, 18. Of course, you were at probably 22, 23 at the time of applying. What made you interested to reach out to us?
I actually interviewed at several insurance agencies, and they all asked me the same question. What is wrong with you? Like, why are you so interested in working in insurance? You're 23 years old, do anything. And I just know how much of a bulletproof industry it is and how it's residual and it's not going anywhere. And that's what brought me in. And I'm sorry, I feel like you asked another question.
No, that's the answer. Okay. So you had an idea because of the broadness and maybe the stability of the industry.
And I've had an internship working in a similar agency as BIS, and that just opened my eyes at what insurance was, what it's like to work in insurance, and what it could be for you. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is something I can work as hard as I want and be as successful I want, but without wanting to pull my hair out every day.
Sure.
People actually need it.
Okay.
You're not selling a scam.
Got it.
And
at least not at BIS.
Right. No.
That's right.
And what I liked about BIS was they had a lot of values on their website that was told to me too when I talked to Ryan that I really cared about. Faith-based company, work-life balance, the follow-through. I mean, their values are plastered right on the website. It's the first thing you see when you walk into BIS, right there. And that attracted me, that they had a culture built. That it wasn't like, I'm going to go work at a 1,000-person company where I will know 5 people and never know anybody. I'll be able to know everyone. Like Drew's the CEO, and I was able to talk to him on the phone within a week of talking to Ryan.
Okay.
So you actually know people.
And for the audience, to clarify, Ryan is our VP of Culture and People and is a big part of our recruitment process. So you spoke to her. For me, and a lot of leaders are this way, I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. Clint Eastwood, if you know that movie. But, as leaders, I never want to just focus all on the positives. The positives can be an echo chamber. Real, true leadership, and in my opinion, and good companies, they want to know, what did I do wrong so I can learn from it? And I'm a big believer of owning it when we're wrong, but then saying, okay, this is what we're doing to actually try to make it right. You found us, and I remember that's always nice for an agency when we don't have to go out and try to get people. In this case, Phillip Googled us for a position. Remind the audience, what are you doing now? And then I want to go back to that.
So I'm a sales development representative.
Okay.
And which is basically a fancy word for I cold call.
Okay.
So I book appointments and I prospect for the sales team on P&C and benefits. As you may know, BIS was started as a benefits broker and since has opened up a business division, P&C division.
Yes.
Using various resources like software things, I get lists of numbers of potential clients and like prospect based off of certain things that would be what we're looking for. And I cold call them and I try and talk to them and say, hey, wanted to talk to you about your insurance renewal, wanted to see if we can get you on an appointment with one of our salespeople. Obviously, it's not that simple. And I book appointments, and we have, I want to say, 4 salespeople producers right now at BIS. And
Yep.
London Demetrio, he's the younger benefits sales producer, and then Jesse Couch. I book most of my appointments for them, and that's essentially my main role. But it's not all I do. I listen in on the appointments I book.
So we don't leave you in a room cold calling 24/7?
No.
Okay.
I'm able to leave and
All right.
experience the office and hang out and go to the appointments, which is great because you get to see the whole sales process beginning to end. Like some of the appointments I booked have closed in the sales completely. So, and I've been able to sit through the entire process. So.
Okay. So let me walk you through, as you were interviewing, just tell the audience what to expect on that process. What did we do? Was it just one phone call and it was done? Did we have you come into the office? What expectations did we give you through the interview process? And were those met? What did we do wrong? And feel free to, hey, give some feedback. Hey, would have been nice if you did this. I'm taking notes to say, what could we do different? Because you're our newest hire, and so you have the most fresh perspective, and we want to learn from that. Okay, could we have done something differently? Walk us through that from the initial reach out. You spoke to, I'm assuming, Ryan first. What expectation did she give to you? What happened once you were given a job offer? What was the offer expectations, and what's been your experience since you've been at BIS?
So when Ryan contacted me, it was basically just a get to know you. This is what BIS is. Had a good conversation. I expressed interest, and then we moved on to the next step, which was Drew reaching out to me on the cell phone. And so I got that call in October, and I got accepted the job offer in December, or was even offered the offer in December. And throughout the process, it was the very first formal interview as I went into the office. We never had any Zoom calls. It was in person, just because I said I was available. And some of the interviews were about a month between each other, maybe longer, which I think with where BIS was at the moment, they weren't bringing on a lot of SDRs. Like now BIS is growing. So it was slightly frustrating during that process to be like, I'm very interested in this company, but I don't know when the next stage is, so I have to keep my options open. I have to keep looking at other businesses because when I graduate in December, I need to start working. So
did we give you clear, hey, the next step is going to be in 2 to 3 weeks, or was it completely left open? How did we do in that process?
I wouldn't say it was completely left open. It was definitely, hey, the next step will be, in this time frame. But it wasn't, the next step is going to be scheduled on this day.
Got it.
But it wasn't, hey, we might hit you up in 3 months or something completely random.
Got it.
It was in between. But I remember during the process, I had another job offer, and I had essentially written down in my head, I'm going with the other offer. The BIS feels as if I'm not saying it's not going to go anywhere, but I don't know exactly where it's at. I had another interview, and we're supposed to schedule another one, but thankfully, when it came around to December, we had another meeting. Drew and I talked, and we had the offer written out, and it was a great idea, in my opinion, to go through and do it because, so the offer, to answer your other question, was a 90-day probationary period.
And we're not talking salaries today, right? Not up in the open there.
Right.
Yeah.
90-day probationary period with a expectation or goal to book 10 appointments, like the appointments I was talking about. And I was a little nervous, but I thought, hey, 10 appointments in 90 days, that's, I'm going to back myself. I can do that because obviously if I couldn't book 10 appointments or I could only book less than 5, it would be beneficial, I think, for both parties to not move on. If I can't book 5 appointments in 90 days, then I probably shouldn't be banking my whole career on booking appointments for the next 40 years. I should probably find something else. Same for BIS. They should probably find someone that can book appointments because appointments is how the sales are closed at the end of the day. That's the first step.
And I want to brag on you for a little bit because you had the insight as someone with not a lot of professional job experience, but I remember conversations us talking about that. And that's our heart at BIS, whether it's an SDR, a producer, account management, open position. We want it to be a win-win. That's part of the culture. I never want to hire someone and it be a lopsided win for us or really for them. Everyone is free to choose, do they want to work in the organization while they're there? If they're there, I want them to have a great experience. But But if it's not the fit for them from a life change or situation, we never want to be insecure of that. I remember that dialogue of, hey, look, you don't want to come on and be a full-time producer if you can't do this part of the job. And so for our SDR position, it's really kind of a test to say, hey, if you can be successful or really enjoy it or pick it up, then you could have a shot at being a producer. And that's where Phillips is at. And, I want the audience who's listening this to hear that's the path. We talked about you coming in. Okay, we agreed upon, okay, you think you could reasonably do 10, but, obviously you wanted more. You've been here since the first week of January. How many appointments have you set?
I'm not exactly sure, but it's in between 20 and 25 right now.
Excellent job. So if there's a sales manager listening to this, they're just drooling because it's such a success story. It doesn't always work out this way, but we're very happy to have you, obviously. And the best thing Philip's got is he wants to learn. And Philip mentioned our core values. So just to mention that, we've got several. The first one is follow through. And follow through essentially means, hey, look, we're in a very important industry. A lot of jobs are important. And most of them are very important, if not all. But in our world, if we say we're going to do something and we don't do it, that could be the difference between someone's, huge building burning down or not, or someone's health insurance claim being covered. So if we're unorganized or say, yeah, I'll get to it, and you write it in a sticky note and you don't do it, it's dangerous. So if you don't have that element, or if you can't learn that, it's not a personal thing, but you just can't work for your own sake, but for the protection of so many other people. So Philip really impressed us through that interview process. But we also have heart to learn, heart to serve, humble, integrity, and perspective. And the perspective is the work-life balance. So now that you read about those values, you said it attracted it. How do you think BIS is doing on those? What feedback would you give us? Are we doing all of them? Are we not? Rate us.
I mean, I would rate very highly. It's nice to know, like, you see the values and that's important to you, but you don't know, hey, maybe this company doesn't follow those values. You see it all the time that people don't practice what they preach, but I felt very quickly that BIS was practicing a lot of what they preach. I mean, the follow through, that is something that came through. That's the first value, and that affected me in my interview process, seeing how important follow through was before I even started. I mean, the whole appointment booking, it's been hammered into me by Drew, by London, by the team, follow through with your prospects, with the people you're talking to, see how it will benefit you. I've booked appointments where I got them on the phone, didn't book an appointment, but they said, call me back, email me, do this, and I followed through and was able to book an appointment. So following through has been huge. I mean, heart to serve was another one. That's, obvious. BIS does a program where, if you work 20 hours for a nonprofit, the company will donate $50 per hour to the nonprofit. We have a workers volunteer day coming up in May. That's obvious to see that it's important. It's just talking to the founder as well.
What about our outreach for those of you who don't know, we partner with a nonprofit called Never Thirst, and they're essentially trying to solve the worldwide, I think it's a crisis, water crisis. Most people do not live in America, but I think it's close to 750 million people worldwide do not have fresh access to water. Was that appealing to you at all?
Absolutely. That was super appealing because, just quick backstory. I did 2 mission trips in college building water filters in Central America. So I saw that and it made me feel, wow, this company, their values align with what's important to me. And I remember just like last week, the marketing team, Sydney, was working on this big Never Thirst poster that's in our lunchroom right now. And Drew's talked about it several times. So it's definitely something going on.
Good. Yeah. And essentially, there's no secret that insurance isn't the most flashy industry, but we do make a difference in people's lives. But we take a percentage of our profit and we give back to the most hurting communities in the world. And that inspires me personally. And I like that, Philip, that was something you want to be a part of. Because essentially, if we grow as a company, both top line and bottom line, we're going to have extra margins, not only impact our clients, our vendors, our staff, which is all very important of our culture, but also have a lasting impact beyond. And the dollar goes a little further in some other countries. And so that's the cool part. We're glad you're here. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share before we go on to the next topic?
I'd probably just say the thing about perspective, that has been huge from BIS. I have friends who just graduated college that are banging their head against the wall, working, 1 million hours a week at a big corporate office. Not to say that's a bad route, people are super successful doing that, but I've loved the balance at BS, and it's nice to not have Drew or anyone breathing down my neck all the time, but also training me and supporting me, where it's enough balance between support and action. And right now I'm working 3-day weekends, or I have 3-day weekends, which is just a good balance, because cold calling is not the most fun thing in the world. Just to have that perspective, to be able to have my Fridays off in this period, is honestly really helpful. When I started, I was thinking, oh, I'm 23, I want to work on Fridays because I'm ambitious. But
Yeah.
after 6 weeks, I'm like, okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that point in the interview of having that Friday. Now, to be clear, that's unique to that position. We do shut down the office on Fridays for those who might be listening, and that's always a nice treat for us, because we realize for those who have kids or family or friends and weekends, we kind of want to use a sports analogy, leave it all on the field when you're at work.
Yeah.
But we want everyone to have a family and a life at night and weekends, including myself. I don't want to miss ball games. I don't want to miss sporting events for my kids. Well, if I don't want my staff to either. So that's really the culture we're trying to build. So really appreciate you being part of the team, and anybody can feel free to reach out to Phillip on LinkedIn and see if he left anything out. But you had an opportunity to lay it out. Really appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to see your future here at the company.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and it's been great.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. This is awesome.
Thank you.